I would like to call the City of Apache Junction City Council meeting of May 16th, 2023 to order and request all cell phones be set to silence mode. The invocation will be led by Councilmember Heck and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Solar.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of being able to gather together this evening to discuss city business. We ask that you give staff and council wisdom and clarity in its decision-making. We do ask your blessing upon our mayor and ask for his speedy recovery. We ask your blessing on the men and women who serve in our military around the world. We also ask for your blessing on our first responders, including our police, fire departments, and our EMS personnel. We are so grateful for their service and ask that you keep them safe. Thank you for the honor and privilege we have to serve the residents of this great city. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a roll call?
Mayor Wilson,
Yes, I'm here.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Present.
Councilmember Cross,
Here.
Councilmember Heck,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Nesser,
Present.
Councilmember Suller.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. Consent agenda. As a reminder, all items under the consent agenda will be approved with one motion. If a council member wishes to remove an item for further discussion, the request will be made prior to approving the consent agenda and will be moved to new business. Do I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the consent agenda be accepted and approved as presented.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Heck,
Yes.
Councilmember Cross,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Suller,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
Okay, awards, presentation, and proclamations. I do have a proclamation. National Public Works Week, May 21st through the 27th, 2023. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an informed and understanding citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and program, and whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these public works facilities, services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skill of public work officials, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments and materially influenced by the people's attitudes of understanding the importance of the work they perform. Now therefore, on behalf of Mayor Chip Wilson, Mayor of the City of Apache Junction, I hereby proclaim May 21st through May 27th, 2023 as National Public Works Week. And Ted Wolf?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. I'm very proud of our department, as we all should be. A little bit about our department. We maintain about 350 vehicles and pieces of equipment. We have 13 buildings that we maintain, including this one we're sitting in today. We maintain about 180 miles of road, 18 signalized traffic intersections, about 1,500 lights. And if you look at all the value of all that stuff, it's in the vicinity of about $300 million. And we do it with a staff of 35 people, hard, dedicated people that do this every day. We're on call tonight. Every day of the year we have staff standing by should a traffic light malfunction, should there be some sort of incident, a tree fall down. And these people do it because they like what they do and they like working for the city. So I just want to, on behalf of our department, I want to say thank you. And I appreciate the accolades and the acknowledgement of what the hard work that they do for the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Okay. Regional intergovernmental updates. I'll start here with Bambi. Daryl?
No?
Yeah. So today I had the privilege of attending the DSV ribbon cutting ceremony over at Mesa Gateway Airport. DSV is a new commercial cargo carrier that can bring stuff from overseas to Arizona and avoid having to go through LA and the customs debacle that occurs over there. So basically, they can have cargo on an airplane and here in Arizona between 12 and 14 hours. It took them, the plane that landed this morning, it took them an hour and a half to unload, have it looked over by customs, and to the customer in less than 3 hours. And so it's a really big game changer for a lot of our big-time commercial industry. And they look to expand in a really big way here in the East Valley. And it's going to be a game changer for our commerce, so.
Peter?
Oh, no.
Brian? Nope. Okay. Mayor Wilson, do you have something to add?
You
Guess
must be
not.
on mute.
No, I'm not going to say anything right now.
Just asking, Chad. All right, city manager report. Brian?
Okay, all right. Brian Powell, City Manager, I want to share just how excited we are to get our dog park, off-leash dog park, open this week. One of the reminders I'll offer is that as we transition into Bermuda prime time, it's going to be always around when we hit the 90-degree, when a certain low temperature is, that kicks in and starts this process into the winter ride going to Bermuda. This is our first year. This is almost exactly our first year. So as we work with our community to help understand that process, we'll be doing it again as we go to winter ride typically in September, late September, early October. The place just needs a little break, if that makes sense. A little time for it to kind of rejuvenate and have an opportunity to say, hey, we're ready to serve our residents and have a chance to serve our wonderful pets. And it just takes a few weeks. And so we did a dry well change, and they're off and running today. So it's reopened, and we're going. I want to thank Liz and Dave and his staff for the great work there. I'm also very grateful for our men and women who work at Public Works that do all the great things to help keep us safe, keep our traffic flowing, and keep that great work. Ted and his team are doing a tremendous work with the resources that they are allocated, and it's a big, big investment. I'd like to also connect the reminder that economic development is connected to good streets and safe roads to businesses. That concludes my part of the report. I'll turn it to you.
Oh, one question, Brian. The annual maintenance on the dog park, can we expect it to be closed for like 3 weeks at a time every year?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere around that amount. Liz saying less than. Can we have Liz come up?
Thank you, Vice Mayor Schroeder, members of council. So we are kind of figuring out what is going to work best for the dog park, and this is very unusual to actually take a break during this time of year and do Bermuda, but as you recall, we opened around this time last year, and we did an overseeding that really didn't let our Bermuda establish for dogs. So again, in our regular parks, it's just not trampled as much. We also had a lot of rain this last fall, way more than we've ever had before. So this is a repair, and then the install of the dry well. So we just wanted to be able to get a little bit more grass in that was damaged during fall time. We will not be overseeding this coming up year. We want that Bermuda grass to really establish and get good and thick. So there will not be an overseeding in the fall. We might be shut down for about a week to do aerating and to do some other rest. And then our hope is that next spring, we will not have to do this 3 to 4 week shutdown. It might just be something that is a week to do some minor improvements. But all of this is so that way we can address some of the drainage issues in this retention and make it so that it's easier and faster for us to open after a major rainstorm. Any other questions on that? Okay, thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Liz.
your guys' support.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay, Al.
Very good. Okay, good evening. Al Bravo, Public Information Officer for the City of Apache Junction. The mayor would have likely mentioned this this evening, but since he is under the weather, and there actually is weather out there, I will let you know that we did have a meeting with Congressman Biggs, the U.S. representative there in the picture on the right with the red tie. This is the third of 3 meetings that we have had over the last several weeks with the federal delegation, representatives from the federal delegation, and we actually did get to meet U.S. Rep. Biggs at this particular meeting to introduce and at least make them aware of our proposals and our ideas on how to address flooding in regards to Weeks Wash. We do have a plan that Public Works, of course, has pulled together for a flood control project, a very, very big and expensive one that we will need many, many partners, of which, of course, the federal government will be one, along with the state government and local folks from Maricopa and Pinal County. So the mayor, I know, was there along with our city engineer, Emil Schmidt, and Assistant City Manager Matt Busby. So I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that, because I know that the mayor wanted to mention it. All right, in addition, of course, to the dog park, tomorrow is Police Memorial Ceremony Day here in Apache Junction. There will be a ceremony tomorrow morning outside of the headquarters. Our good council member, Brian Soler, was at the national ceremony yesterday in Washington, D.C., and so we wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we were definitely represented at the national level, and then we will do our own ceremony as well in the morning, like I said, outside of the police headquarters. A couple of things to be aware of going on right now. This is sort of the first of the next phase of study and research that the Maricopa Association of Governments is doing for the area south of US 60 and beyond. You know, mostly state land, a little bit of Queen Creek, a little bit of Mesa, and of course a little bit of Apache Junction, and really looking at transportation issues for that entire region. They're going to have a virtual meeting on June the 1st. Everyone is obviously invited to listen in and tune in and ask questions, and you can see all the details on all of that on our website, on our homepage at apachejunctionaz.gov in the morning. The ever-popular Books and Brews Book Club program returns on Thursday. The Apache Junction Public Library has worked out a deal with Handlebar Pub and Grill, and they did this last summer. They're going to do it again this summer, beginning on Thursday, the third Thursday of every month, till October. They're going to have a little book club over in the patio as long as weather permits, and they discuss different genres of books, and they just kind of have a nice little time, and you even get 10% off of food and drinks. So we appreciate Candace and everyone over at the Handlebar for playing host. A reminder that everything is available on our homepage that I usually talk about. Also, great way to find out events going on in the city if you scroll down on that homepage. And take a look at our calendar. Our calendar is updated pretty frequently now. And of course, remember, you can get everything in the weekly newsletter that the city puts out every Thursday by going to apachejunctionaz.gov/newsletter. And that's your announcements for May the 16th, 2023.
Vice Mayor,
Yes.
I just wanted to say, when I was standing there holding the name, the name is Russell Lowell Duncan, and he was an Apache Junction officer, and he lost his life 11/9 of 1983 protecting the city of Apache Junction. And I just wanted to let you know we had a wreath there, and I will be presenting the chief with the name that I scribed tomorrow. So just wanted to get his name on the record and his sacrifice. Thank you.
Thanks for being there, Brian. Okay, we have no public hearings this evening. We have no old business this evening. New business, presentation and discussion of rodeo ground purchase. Liz?
Good evening again. Mayor on the phone, Vice Mayor Schroeder, and members of City Council. Liz Lingenbach, Parks and Recreation Director. And I'm just here today to give you an update on the rodeo grounds and where we're at today with this exciting next steps. Just as a quick background in history, we acquired the rodeo grounds in 1986 under a recreation and public purpose lease with the Bureau of Land Management. It is one of 4 leased properties that we have. We were able to utilize and operate free of charge and able to build on those and have an amazing amount of recreational opportunities. The rodeo grounds, Prospector Park, our multi-use trail system, which is this kind of a portion of it here in yellow. Green is our Prospector Park lease, and then this small section here is the rodeo grounds. Those are the 3 that are in that vicinity on the north end of town, and then we have the Silly Mountain down on the other side of town as our 4th property. The rodeo grounds in October of 2020, City Council entered an agreement to pursue a lengthy process to purchase the rodeo grounds from the Bureau of Land Management. At the time, under our recreation and public purpose lease, we are not able to do commercial ventures there. We can't do major promoted concerts, anything that is with a for-profit entity as part of the federal legislation tied to getting this property free of charge to be able to use in our community. We went through many different attempts to look at all the options to be able to do some different things there. And ultimately, in October of 2020, we determined that, or we learned from the BLM, that our best course of action is really that we could purchase it outright, and then we can do whatever we want to there. And so then we started a process that was about 2.5 years long to go through an entire process with the Bureau of Land Management, where they would ultimately appraise the land for the land value alone. We added many amenities there many years ago, but for just the land is what our appraisal came back that we would be responsible for purchasing if we chose to do so. So council entered into an agreement on that in October of 2020. We did, just to let you all know, it's only the 20 acres that are within the fenced-in area of the rodeo grounds. And we've shared this multiple times at many stages, but many of you here today might not have been present when we talked about that and why, so we just wanted to share. We did try to go for 80 acres. We surveyed a much bigger portion so that we could encompass this event parking and some of the other areas over here. However, because as on that previous screen you saw, this 20 acres is the only portion that isn't in the rodeo grounds lease. The rest of it that surrounds us is Prospector Park lease. And we learned that in order to pull out to separate any of the Prospector Park land would take several other years before we could even get to the process of purchasing this. So the agreement with council at the time and staff, as well as the Bureau of Land Management, was that our easiest route was to go ahead and just to stick to the area that was already currently leased as the rodeo grounds. In addition, they gave us permission that we will still be able to use all of this as parking because it is part of the land development plan for Prospector Park's lease. We are able to keep utilizing that for rodeos and other events. The only stipulation is that we can't technically make money there that we don't invest back into the Prospector Park facility. We spend more than enough every year that we would be investing way more than what we'd ever make on parking at Prospector Park. So we don't have any doubt about that area. Having said that, again, we really want people to understand that this is the only part that we technically own, is everything that's in this large rectangular fenced area. In January of 2022, we received the appraisal amount of $1.4 million from the third party that does all of the appraisal process. Council approved at that time, continuing with the purchase and incorporating that into our city budget for this year, which it is in there now. And then multiple other steps have gone on for this last year that we could have chosen to end If we didn't like the dollar amount, we could have said, you know, we've already invested enough into this, we don't want to continue, but we chose to move forward. And then this month, we finally received notice that the sale had been finalized and all the steps had been completed. We received an invoice to pay our $1.4 million, and the finance department wired that as soon as humanly possible so that we could continue this and hope to get all this done by the end of this fiscal year. We expect to receive all of the final title documents and ownership documents sometime mid-June. So there are still steps that are going, escrow and title. They've prepared all the documents. Those all have to be gone through and signed, but we're told that it should only take about a month in order to get that final document. So our next steps that we will be working on, that we just want to try to manage expectations. So it's a big commitment to purchase these rodeo grounds. We think it will be very good for us in the long run. It was a council direction for us to pursue that so that we could have more events and more activities out at this event center. So we want to just talk a little bit about what you can expect in the next year, because immediately it doesn't have the amenities that it needs to have really large-scale events and some different things. It has a lot of wonderful amenities, and we'll be able to do more there, but it is going to take a planning process and making sure that we have some of the things that we're lacking in order to attract businesses to have events there. So we have been visiting other rodeo facilities over the last several years. Our maintenance staff, as well as myself, we've visited extensively with Queen Creek and their horseshoe park, mainly because they were one of the most recently built. They invested a lot of money into that, and they did set it up as an enterprise system. And so we've been talking with them about what they would do differently if they were to go again. There's a lot of things that they put into it that aren't as utilized as well, and that they've had to add other different things. So we're going to get to learn a lot from some of the things that they've experienced. Additionally, there's a lot of smaller events that they can't accommodate any longer that they are willing to partner with us and send our way whenever they can't accommodate them. So that's going to really help us in this next year to be able to start generating some new users. We also budgeted for this year, and it was tentatively adopted last night, and so we hope in the next couple of weeks that this is still there, but we budgeted $100,000 for this next fiscal year for master plan review and design services. So there are a lot of things that still need to be done there, as I said before. For example, there is very limited electricity. It's to the extent of at the rodeo arena and the restroom facility, but the area where all of our vendors usually are, there is no electricity, so they have to bring in generators and think of how they're going to get power there. Water lines are old. We acquired this in 1986, so it's a 40-year-old facility that we maintain ourselves. And so there's a lot of amenities that we are going to need to look at, and those will require design services through electricians, architects, and all that kind of stuff. So we put in a budget amount to help us next year with that. That will be a public process to include current user groups. So our Lost Veteran Days committee, we have an archery group that's out there every single week. We have lots of different users, 4-H's, and tons of different users that are utilizing that facility. We will be asking them what it is that they would like to see there. And so we will be generating a list of the needed amenities and then updating our old master plan. Our master plan was done in 2006 for that facility. I think the dollar amount that was attached to that, and keep in mind that you can kind of see it here in the background, it extends well beyond the 20 acres, but that was a $32 million estimated cost back in 2006. We won't be doing all of those things, and so we'll be able to keep it a little bit more minimal of that, but there will be a cost to some of the amenities that we need to have here. And so this next year will be a chance to learn what those are and for us to prioritize with our Parks and Rec Commission, and then to be able to bring recommendations to the City Council so that they can be considered over time within our budget and within the means of our city. And as I said, that planning design process will help us guide future recommendations for the facility. In the meantime, though, so again, we want to manage expectations that everything isn't going to change and we're not going to have, these amazing concerts overnight. But immediately, once we own the facility, we will be able to start renting the facility to commercial entities and for-profit businesses. Currently, we can't do that right now. And so that will help us to be able to bring in more revenue. We will definitely have a plan for reaching out and promoting use of the rodeo grounds. And so it won't only just be nonprofit and private residents that can rent our facility. We'll be able to open up to a much bigger variety of individuals as soon as we have the ownership documents in hand. So we expect after July 1 that we would be able to open all of this up. The other thing I just want to bring to your attention, so in 2021, we added non-resident and for-profit commercial rates to our fee structure. So all of our fee structure right now is based on a nonprofit and a resident rate. Council adopted in 2021 that for non-residents, they would pay 25% more than a resident, and so that's in our structure. And we recommended, and it was approved, that commercial and for-profit businesses, their rate would be 50% more than what a nonprofit or a resident can pay. As an example, the arena usage, right now, it's $8 an hour during the daytime. It's pretty reasonable. Anybody in our public could rent that and use it for practicing. It's $17 an hour at night due to the light and electrical charges. So if we were to look at what that would cost a commercial entity being 50% more, that means it's only $12 an hour right now to rent it during the day and $25.50 to rent it at night, which are really still very reasonable and low fees. Through this process over the next year, we'll be able to evaluate that. If we have more amenities and more things that they can utilize, that might mean we need to look at that fee structure for some of those groups. The one thing that we do want to dispel immediately, though, is that I've heard lots of rumors that because we bought this and we're doing this now, that's just a reason for the city to charge people, to charge our residents more, to charge our nonprofit groups more. I attended a Lost Judgment Days kickoff, and there were a couple people that were very concerned that we'd have to find this money somewhere, and so we would be increasing the fee to the Lost Judgment Days committee to hold Lost Judgment Days there. So the good news that I shared with them is that right now we charge $0 for Lost Dutchman Days. It's one of the city council civic events that we support. They don't pay any money at all to use that for that entire weekend and all the prep and all of the staffing that goes into police services, parks maintenance service. So 0 times any increase will still be 0. And as long as the council continues to choose to have that be a civic event, then their fees are not going to change at all. So we've been really trying to make sure that people understand that we still want this to be a community amenity and for nonprofits and residents to be able to utilize it at a very reasonable cost, but that also helps to pay for our facility. Let's see, I think that is everything. Yep. And so I open up to questions now. Anything else that I can answer for you?
Vice Mayor?
Yes, sir.
After we get this in place, are we looking to expand out and get some more of that property out there that's going to take a few years to get?
So we can definitely explore that. It will be a difficult process because we would have to first separate out whatever land from Prospector Park. Right. Prospector Park is 200 acres, give or take. Only 40 acres of it is developed. The rest of it is open space, trails, and other things like that. So we can certainly explore it. It's just really challenging to do. But just like this one, you have to start somewhere. And so it's certainly something that I think will be considered when we're doing this master plan process and looking at all of our options.
I'm really excited about this. This is a little gem for us.
Yeah.
And we can do things where the city can run events and not have to worry about the federal government being involved. So that's a good thing.
No.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, sir.
So, Liz, all of the land surrounding the rodeo grounds, that is all part of the Prospector Park land development lease, yes?
Correct.
Okay, so.
Try to get to a map.
Yeah, I have to back up. Yep, okay. So, when you were talking about the event parking there that's north, that was much needed. Just want to make sure to the west of this, for Lost Dutchman Days I'm talking about, we've been able to use that land for contestant parking and, you know, the trailers and horse trailers and all that. We'll still have the use of all that as we always.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep, we confirmed with the BLM of what our abilities are. We use it now. And so they are well aware of that. And definitely because there is parking in the plan of development for Prospector Park, it doesn't matter where that parking is, we can utilize it for that.
Oh. Good.
Carol?
All right. Thanks.
All I can say is, thank you. My God, this is just awesome news. Thanks to all the staff that's been involved in securing this. Great job, and I look forward to all the wonderful things that are coming up in the future. So, there we go. Kudos.
Thank you.
Just want to say congratulations and thank you very much. It's something we've been working on for many years, and this is now finally coming to provision, so thanks, everyone.
Pam?
I know of a couple places that have been just waiting for this to happen, that are going to be lined up looking for applications to get in there and do some things.
Great. Thank you all.
So I do share Councilmember Cross's, and I know you were very instrumental in this whole entire process. Good job, Liz.
Thank you.
Really good job. Now, I do have a question. We kind of talked about this. This was years ago, I kind of remember. So now that the city owns it, you know, taxpayers came together, we bought this property. Is this kind of a under lock and key facility, and they always got to come through the city if they want to utilize it, or the fence is coming down and?
So just like any of our facilities, we have use restrictions, and that is mainly for safety as well as, you know, so we won't be taking down the fence, no. They still will have to, just like they do now, go through the city to reserve it. We've done a lot of partnerships over the years. SHA several years ago paid for open nights of lights, and then anybody in the public could come on those nights and utilize the arena. Currently, right now, anybody could walk in and use the open space area. So we get a lot of people that come and they do drone flying. We might have some small model rocket types of things that happen out in that parking lot area. And all they do is come and check out a key. If they want to have an organized activity, though, as part of our fee structure and part of our council-adopted regulations, they do have to come and do reservations. So somebody could walk in and utilize certain areas, but most of the areas we have to have been able to prep it or to have it ready for people, mainly due to safety and liability reasons. Okay. But it is very available, though, for people to utilize. If $8 an hour to come and exercise your horses, I mean, that's just amazing in my mind that we've had that for so long.
Absolutely. All right, thanks a lot,
Thank
Liz.
you.
Thank you.
Wait, it's not
Yes, not
open
public.
for.
Yeah.
Okay. Any council direction to staff?
Yeah, I think we really seriously need to look at least what it would cost us to purchase the parking area, or however much land we can afford to buy, eventually owning it all.
Okay. Okay, call of the public. I would like to remind everyone that call of the public is a courtesy and not required by law. It is a time for the public to express requests, communications, comments, and suggestions. Requests to speak forms must be completed and handed to the city clerk before the end of the city manager's report. All issues shall be presented in a professional manner without personal attacks. Under the open meeting law, the council cannot engage in discussion on the issues presented, but may respond to criticism and may direct staff to follow up with speakers directly or place this matter on future agenda items for council discussion. There's a 3-minute limit for each speaker, and I have one. Gail Evans. Come on up.
This is weird, but Mayor, City Council, staff. My name is Gail Evans. I live at 913 South Del Rio Court, Apache Junction. I'm here tonight representing the Apache Junction Community Development Corporation because I hate acronyms. I wanted to say that. We are a 501c3 nonprofit that strictly works with the city code department, code case department. We help individuals within the city that are either physically, mentally, some sort of handicapped, elderly, or financially cannot clean up their own properties. I want to thank the Health and Human Service Commission. I'd like to thank the City Council for your consideration on your donation for us for this upcoming year. I'd like to thank AJ Mounted Rangers for their donation to help with our youth project. But that's really not why I'm here tonight. I want to just talk about two extremely nice things that happen. We're all kind of here because we want to make the city better. And I think most of the people in the audience, that's always our goal, to make things better. We cleaned up a property for an elderly man that last summer during the monsoon winds, a huge saguaro fell and broke his handicap ramp. He wasn't able to get out of his home anymore, and he was a code case. So we cleaned up the property and we reached out to different groups to see how could we build this handicap ramp for this man. And an individual from next door stepped up and he says, I'll do it. And his name is Uriah Strickler. Just a super individual, spent days building this ramp. We just had another individual, Ron Crow, I can't believe this, donated his John Deere front loader to us. I'm so excited, I can hardly stand it because it's going to make our jobs so much easier and so much faster. It does need some work. I have an individual willing to donate his time. If anybody's willing to donate money for parts, because you can't sell a secret, please contact me at any time. We just have such great citizens within our community, and I think sometimes these quiet people don't ever get really recognized. I did it in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, Gail. Okay, does council have any requests for the staff to follow up on?
Just what Tess was saying about looking into starting the process for however many years it may take us to buy more land.
Okay.
Even if it's just the parking lot now
I
and
don't
keep
care.
on moving from there to eventually own all of Prospector Park.
I think retirement is postponed, Liz.
Liz, gotta stay. Keep working.
At this point, I will adjourn this meeting.